Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a year, but they underestimate what they can achieve in 6 months with absolute focus and commitment. Imagine this 6 months from now, you're standing taller, your confidence is unshakable, your goals aren't just dreams, they're your new reality. The question is not, can you do it? The question is, will you commit to the next 6 months that could change the rest of your life? Because if you give me your focus, your hunger, and your drive, I'll show you how to unlock the transformation you've been waiting for. Let me take you there. Imagine for a moment you're standing in front of a mirror. You're not just seeing your reflection, you're seeing every belief, every story, every excuse that's been shaping your life up until this moment. Some of those stories are powerful and they've carried you forward, but many of them are invisible chains that have kept you stuck. And the truth is, transformation doesn't begin with changing what you do. It begins with changing what you believe. Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they've bought into lies. Lies they tell themselves about who they are, what they're capable of, and what's possible for them. You've heard that voice before, haven't you? That little whisper that says, I'm not smart enough, I failed too many times, people like me never make it big, I'll start tomorrow. That voice is not the truth. It's the old conditioning of fear, doubt, and limitation. And if you don't break those chains right now, no 6-month plan, no strategy, no action will ever last. So the first 30 days of this journey are about destroying those old patterns. And how do we do that? By becoming aware. You can't fight an enemy you don't even know exists. I want you to pay attention to your thoughts, your self-talk, your language. Because language is powerful. The words you use to describe yourself create the reality you live in. If you keep telling yourself, I can't, your mind shuts down before it even tries. But the moment you shift that to, I will find a way, your brain starts searching for possibilities. Now, awareness alone is not enough. We need to replace those limiting beliefs with something stronger, something that ignites you. Let me ask you, what do you believe about yourself right now? Maybe you believe you're average. Maybe you believe you're unlucky. Maybe you believe you've missed your shot. What if for the next 6 months you chose to believe something different? What if you decided deep in your soul that you are unstoppable, that you are resourceful, that you are worthy of success, not in some distant future, but right now? I want you to think back to a time in your life when you achieved something you once thought was impossible. Maybe it was passing an exam, landing a job, getting through a difficult season, or overcoming something that looked bigger than you. You found a way. That strength is still in you. You didn't lose it. You just forgot it was there. And now it's time to bring it back. Let me tell you something about beliefs. They're not facts. They're simply stories we've repeated so many times that they feel like the truth. But the truth is, you can rewrite your story. Every time you choose courage over fear, every time you push past that voice that says, you can't, you weaken the old belief and strengthen the new one. And once your beliefs shift, your entire life begins to shift with them. This is why I say transformation doesn't start with willpower. It starts with identity. If you try to build a new life while still holding on to the identity of who you were yesterday, you'll always sabotage yourself. But when you start saying, this is who I am now, and you live from that place every single day, the old chains lose their power. So for the first month, your mission is simple: catch the lies, destroy the lies, and replace them with empowering truths. And I'll be real with you, it won't always be easy. That old voice will try to fight back. But every time you face it, every time you choose the new belief, you're training your mind like a muscle. 6 months of that kind of training, and you'll look back and wonder how you ever accepted less than the life you're about to create. Because the moment you break the chains of limiting beliefs, you don't just step into the plan. You step into the person capable of living it. Success doesn't happen in one giant leap. It's not about waiting for the perfect moment, the big break, or that magical day when everything suddenly aligns. Transformation is built on the small, consistent choices you make every single day. It's those quiet moments when nobody is watching, when it would be easier to go back to old patterns, but you choose to keep moving forward. That's where the foundation of lasting change is laid. When people talk about success, they often imagine massive breakthroughs. But the truth is, those breakthroughs are nothing more than the result of small habits repeated over time. Think about it. If you wake up every day and repeat the same routines, you're going to get the same results. If you want a different outcome 6 months from now, you've got to create new rituals that pull you toward your vision instead of anchoring you to your past. Habits are powerful because they bypass willpower. Willpower alone will never carry you to transformation because willpower fades. But habits, once ingrained, run automatically. They become who you are. You don't have to force yourself to brush your teeth. You just do it. Imagine if the same was true for success habits. Imagine if waking up energized, moving your body, feeding your mind with something positive, and taking action toward your goals became automatic. That's the life we're building. And let's be clear, habits don't have to start big. In fact, they shouldn't. One of the biggest reasons people fail when they try to change their life is because they overwhelm themselves. They try to change everything in one night. They start a strict diet, a tough workout plan, a new schedule, and within 2 weeks they burn out and quit. That's not transformation. That's punishment. Real transformation is about stacking small wins. Start with habits so simple you can't say no to them. Maybe it's 10 minutes of movement every morning. Maybe it's writing down 3 things you're grateful for before bed. Maybe it's spending the first 15 minutes of your day without your phone, focusing instead on setting intentions. These small steps, repeated daily, compound into massive shifts over 6 months. Think about how compound interest works in finances. You don't see much at the beginning, but over time the growth multiplies. Habits work the same way. 6 months from now, you won't just have stronger habits, you'll have a stronger identity, because you'll start to see yourself as someone who shows up, someone who follows through, someone who takes control of their life. That identity shift becomes fuel for everything else you do. But here's something important. You need alignment. Your habits must align with the life you're building. If you say you want health, but your daily rituals are filled with junk food, late nights, and no movement, you're living out of alignment. If you say you want financial freedom, but your daily habits are impulse spending and avoiding discipline, you're out of alignment. Alignment is the bridge between who you say you are and who you actually become. Every small habit is either casting a vote for your future or against it. And don't underestimate the environment you create for your habits. Success is not just about discipline. It's about designing an environment where success is the default. If you want to read more, keep a book by your bed. If you want to eat better, stock your kitchen with healthy options. If you want to focus, remove distractions from your workspace. Make it harder to fail and easier to follow through. The other piece to this is momentum. Momentum is built when small habits create small wins, and those wins give you confidence to keep going. Celebrate progress even if it feels small. If you walked 10 minutes today when yesterday you didn't move at all, that's a win. If you replaced one negative thought with a positive affirmation, that's a win. Stack enough of those and suddenly you've got 6 months of unstoppable momentum. Now I want you to imagine this. 6 months from today, you wake up and those success habits are part of who you are. You don't fight yourself to do them. You feel off if you don't. You've built rituals that keep you focused, energized, and unstoppable. That's the power of daily habits. They are the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And if you commit to them now, 6 months later, you won't just recognize your life, you'll hardly recognize yourself. Let's talk about one of the greatest enemies of success, distraction. In today's world, distraction isn't just around us, it's built into the fabric of our lives. Our phones buzz with notifications, our minds jump from one thought to another, and our energy gets scattered in 100 directions. And yet we wonder why we feel exhausted but never truly fulfilled. The truth is, most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because they're pouring their energy into too many things that don't matter. The key to your transformation over the next 6 months is to master the art of laser focus. Think about light for a second. When it's scattered, it doesn't do much. It just illuminates a room. But when that same light is concentrated into a laser, it can cut through steel. That's the difference between a distracted life and a focused life. A distracted person spends 6 months busy but stuck in the same place. A focused person spends 6 months moving with power and direction, and the results are night and day. You and I both know how easy it is to get pulled in 1,000 directions. You tell yourself you're going to work on your goals, but then social media eats up an hour. Emails pull you into someone else's agenda, or you find yourself doing what feels urgent instead of what's truly important. That cycle keeps people trapped for years. But when you decide that your vision is worth protecting, that your future is worth guarding, you begin to cut out the noise and give your best energy to what actually creates results. And let me be clear, focus isn't just about time management, it's about energy management. You can have 12 hours in a day, but if your energy is scattered, you'll waste them. When you channel your energy into one clear direction, everything changes. Over these 6 months, your ability to say no will be just as important as your ability to say yes. No to distractions. No to meaningless activities. No to people who drain you. And yes to the few things that will move the needle in your life. Here's the mistake most people make. They confuse movement with progress. They stay busy all day long, but never move closer to what they actually want. That's like running on a treadmill. You're sweating, you're working hard, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Focus pulls you off the treadmill and puts you on the track where every step takes you closer to the finish line. One of the most powerful things you can do right now is identify your top 3 priorities for the next 6 months. Not 10, not 20, 3. Because when everything is important, nothing is important. Ask yourself, what 3 outcomes, if I achieved them in 6 months, would make me proud of myself? Then commit to putting your energy into those outcomes every single day. That clarity is what creates momentum. And let's address something else, your environment. You can't stay focused if you're living in a world designed for distraction. If your phone is constantly buzzing, if you're surrounded by clutter, if you're saying yes to every demand that comes your way, you're sabotaging yourself before you even start. Create boundaries. Protect your space. Design an environment where focus becomes natural. 6 months of protecting your focus will make you unstoppable. There will be days when your mind wants to wander, when the old habits of distraction creep back in. That's normal. But focus is a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Every time you bring your attention back to your priorities, you're building that muscle. Over time, your ability to concentrate will grow, and the things that used to steal your time and energy won't even tempt you anymore. Imagine this 6 months from now. Instead of looking back with frustration over wasted time, you look back and realize you gave your best energy to the things that mattered most. You weren't scattered, you were intentional. You didn't just stay busy, you made progress. And the results you see in your life will reflect that clarity. Because when you master laser focus, you stop chasing everything, and you finally start creating the life you were meant to live. There comes a moment in every journey where clarity and belief aren't enough. You can build the strongest mindset, create powerful habits, and sharpen your focus, but none of it matters if you don't take bold strategic action. Action is the bridge between your vision and your reality. And I don't mean half-hearted attempts. I don't mean dipping your toes in the water. I mean stepping into the arena, facing fear head-on, and doing the thing you've been avoiding. Because nothing changes until you do. The biggest lie people tell themselves is, I'll start when I'm ready. Let me tell you something, you're never going to feel fully ready. Waiting for perfect conditions is another form of procrastination. You don't need perfect, you need progress. Action creates clarity. Action builds confidence. Action is what separates those who dream from those who live their dreams. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've tried before. You've taken steps, and maybe you've stumbled. But stumbling doesn't mean failure. It means growth. Every action, even the ones that don't work out, is feedback. It teaches you what doesn't work so you can pivot to what does. The people who succeed aren't the ones who never fall. They're the ones who get back up faster every time they do. That's what these 6 months are about. Training yourself to take action, to keep moving, to refuse to sit still when life demands more of you. But not all action is created equal. Anyone can stay busy. True action is strategic. It's deliberate. It's aligned with your vision, and it pushes you beyond your comfort zone. If your actions don't scare you at least a little, they're probably not bold enough. Growth doesn't live in the familiar. Growth happens in the uncomfortable space where you're stretched, where you're challenged, where you risk failing. That's the place where transformation lives. Think about it like this. Every single breakthrough you've ever had in your life came from a moment where you did something you weren't sure you could do. Maybe it was making that first phone call, saying yes to an opportunity, walking into a room where you felt unqualified, and yet you survived it. In fact, you grew from it. That same courage is what you need now. 6 months of repeated, bold action will create a version of you that's unstoppable. But let's make this practical. Bold doesn't always mean huge. It means decisive. It means consistent. For some of you, bold action might be launching that business you've been planning for years. For others, it might be having that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It could be waking up earlier to work on your dream before the rest of the world is awake. Bold action is personal. It's whatever forces you to step beyond the walls of your comfort zone. Here's the truth. Fear will always be there. It never goes away. People wait for fear to disappear before they move, and that's why they stay stuck. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal that you're about to grow. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action despite it. If you learn to lean into fear instead of running from it, these 6 months will transform you faster than you ever imagined. And let's talk about consistency. One bold move is not enough. It's not about taking one massive leap and then retreating. It's about showing up day after day, week after week, taking strategic steps that keep you moving forward. Small, consistent actions compounded over 6 months can create results that look impossible today. The people who win are not the ones who act once. They're the ones who never stop acting. So I want you to make yourself a promise right now. Over the next 6 months, you will not let fear, doubt, or perfection hold you hostage. You will act boldly, strategically, and consistently. And when you do, you won't just reach your goals. You'll discover a power within yourself that you didn't even know existed. Because bold, strategic action is where transformation stops being a dream and finally becomes your reality. One of the most overlooked parts of transformation is the ability to track, adapt, and celebrate progress. Most people set goals, charge forward, and then wonder why they run out of energy or lose motivation along the way. It's not because they're weak or lazy. It's because they never stop to measure how far they've come, to adjust when things aren't working, and to acknowledge the small wins that build momentum. If you want the next 6 months to truly change your life, you need to treat progress as a living, breathing journey, not a rigid checklist you blindly follow. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever planted a seed and expected a full-grown tree the next day? Of course not. Growth takes time, care, and attention. But here's the difference. You'd check on that seed, water it, nurture it, and adjust if it wasn't getting enough sunlight. You wouldn't dig it up after a week and say, well, it didn't work. And yet, that's exactly how most people treat their dreams. They put in effort for a short while, they don't see immediate results, and then they quit. But transformation is not about instant gratification. It's about progress, and progress requires constant awareness. Tracking your growth isn't about perfection, it's about perspective. Because when you measure your progress, even in small ways, you realize you're moving forward. Maybe you haven't hit the big goal yet, but you're further ahead than you were last month. That matters. Those small shifts, those little wins, they stack. And over 6 months, they add up to something extraordinary. But here's the truth. Not everything you try will work. And that's okay. That's not failure, that's feedback. Life is constantly giving you signals. And if you're willing to pay attention, you'll see exactly what needs to change. Maybe a certain habit isn't sticking because it doesn't fit your rhythm. Maybe your strategy needs a slight tweak. Maybe the timeline you set was unrealistic. Instead of beating yourself up, ask the question, what can I learn? What can I adjust? This mindset turns setbacks into stepping stones. You don't quit, you adapt. You don't see obstacles as dead ends. You see them as detours guiding you to a better path. Now let's talk about something equally important, celebration. Most people are so hard on themselves that even when they succeed, they immediately move on to the next goal without pausing to acknowledge the progress. And when you live that way, you train your brain to believe that nothing is ever enough. That's a recipe for burnout. But when you stop and celebrate the small victories, you build momentum. You send yourself the message that your effort matters, that you're moving in the right direction. That energy fuels you for the next step. Think about how powerful this is. If you track your actions daily, review your progress weekly, and reflect monthly, you'll create a rhythm of accountability and growth that compounds over 6 months. You'll always know where you stand. You'll know what's working and what isn't. You'll stay motivated because you're not just chasing some faraway result. You're acknowledging the transformation happening in real time. And let's be honest, there will be days when you don't feel like you're moving at all. Days when progress feels invisible. But that's why tracking is so critical. Because when you look back and see the habits you've built, the actions you've taken, the fears you've overcome, you'll realize you're no longer the same person who started this journey. That awareness is fuel. That realization is power. So over the next 6 months, commit to this cycle, act boldly, track consistently, adapt quickly, and celebrate often. That's how you build unstoppable momentum. That's how you ensure you don't just start strong, but finish stronger. Because when you live this way, you don't just create results, you create a new standard for who you are. And 6 months from now, you'll look in the mirror and see someone you're truly proud of. So here we are, 6 months. It may not sound like much, but it's enough time to completely redefine your life if you choose to commit. Over these months, you'll break the chains of limiting beliefs that have held you back. You'll build daily habits that make success inevitable. You'll sharpen your focus so your energy flows where it matters most. You'll take bold, strategic action that pulls you out of your comfort zone, and you'll track, adapt, and celebrate every step of progress until the person you become is unrecognizable from the one who started. The truth is, the next 6 months are going to pass no matter what. The question is, will you let them slip by, living the same patterns, repeating the same story, or will you take this time and use it as the turning point of your life? You already have everything you need inside of you. The power, the strength, the potential, it's been there all along. All that's left is the decision. 6 months from now, you can either be wishing you started today, or you can be standing in the reality of a life you created with purpose, focus, and unstoppable momentum. The choice is yours, and the time is now.